My name is Vladimir Popov, but I'm known in blockchain community as Menaskop. I'm a writer, I'm a lawyer, and I'm an anarchist. It is not a joke, I'm a lawyer and anarchist too. And today I want to tell you about future blockchain, social blockchain, reputation blockchain, and some interesting facts about ICO and crypto economy and some mistakes. The first one is Bitcoin is volatile. If you see the slide, you understand me. The BTC price from 2009 to 2018 is uptrend. Okay. Price of Ethereum since 2014 to 2018 raised from $1 to $100 and more. The second one is ICO is dead. ICO capitalization went up in the period from 2014 to 2018. Hard cap of ICO is uptrend too. For example, Filecoin. Filecoin is the biggest ICO in 2017. Hard cap of Filecoin is more than $257 million. Yeah. Hard cap of El Petro is more than $5 billion. El Petro is the biggest ICO in 2018. And most popular and false mistake is scam. I took 6 researches by EY, PwC, Boston University, and Force, and so on. And I saw that only 14% of ICO are the scams. Only 14, not 40, not 80, and so on. What is scam? Subjective and objective. Subjective scam is obviously a fraud. When a project wants just to collect money and disappear. Objective one is when a team or team leader does not have sufficient experience and understanding of the market in the order to realize the project. For example, waste of money. And I have a second question. To be or not to be? It is a joke. If there is no product, and while the team spends money, it is scam. It is not scam when a price of a token has dropped below the ICO price. It is not a scam if a product is a bit late in development. It is not scam if someone just wants to think so. Crypto critics, rating agencies, banks, and so on. It is exactly not a scam if a product is ready and it is an open source. For example, storage or others ICOs. And now I want to tell you a gold formula of VC. 30% of VC projects are the scams, objective and subjective. 40% of VC startups have not a profit, and only 30% of VC projects have a profit. Attention, only 1% of VC startups have a rate of return more than 100%. Maximum rate of return of ICO is more than 2.5 million %. It is NXT. An average maximum of rate of return of ICO is more than 30%. Many people don't like ICO. Why? I know many reasons, but I want to tell you only 2. It is very cheap money and it is very fast with speed money. For example, Brave. brief ICO is 30 seconds and $35 million. It is very quickly for me. And the last division, Bitcoin is 4 horsemen of apocalypse. Drugs, triple X porn, terrorism, and money laundering. Really? I took researches by United Nations Organization, Interpol, and some other world organizations. I studied the report, and I saw that only 1 or 5% of BTC economy is a part of world drugs economy, and only 0.01% world drugs economy is a cryptocurrency economy. It is nothing. Summarize. It is open and true, it is decentralized, and it is cheap money. The old system does not accept the new one and criticize it. This is why I think that cryptocurrency economic system needs a regulation. But at first it needs self-regulation. Self-regulation can be reached by creation of open reputation systems. And now I want to read only one note. Reputations will be of central importance, far more important in the links than even the credit ratings of today. These developments will alter completely the nature of government regulation, the ability to tax and control economic interactions, the ability to keep information secret, and will even alter the nature of trust and reputation. This is a quote from Crypto Anarchist Manifest. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Menaskop. Vladimir Popov. The next will be Katerina Voronova.
All right, I will use this microphone. Thanks for the presentation to Vladimir. Just to point out, Vladimir has a great knowledge in tokenomics, as his background is in law. So if you have questions about this, you can always address to Vladimir Popov to speak about the ICO project. He has been working with tons of them. He has analyzed many of them, and he has very big knowledge of this field. Let me introduce myself. My name is Katerina Voronova. I'm a co-founder of InnMind.com, the organizer of this event, the organizer of Blockchain Leadership Summit, which we are hosting this time in Basel. As you know, it's the second event this year. The first one was in Zurich in the beginning of 2018. I'm going to cover this topic a little bit from different perspectives. So now Vladimir was mentioning about the development of this industry, the development of the ICO, how they are progressing, the perception of ICOs in the beginning, and what actually came out of that. I will speak about from different perspective, because ourselves we are coming from the startup world, from the startup and investors ecosystem, and InnMind, it is platform for startups, investors, and service providers or experts who are helping those startups to develop their businesses, to develop their projects, to find investment, and to become grown-up businesses. So, speaking about the industry of the startups and investors, I'm not sure if it's on. Okay, so speaking about the industry of startups and investors, we can see that in this field there is a big mistrust. Why it is like this? As Vladimir was mentioning, big amount of projects are not profitable for the investors. The main goal of the investor to invest and to get return, but when you do not get anything, you start doubting in this. And this is why the investors get mistrust in the startups. On the other hand, startups are trying hard, they are building their project, they're putting everything into their business, and when they understand that investors are not so interested, or maybe they're interested, but they make them prepare tons of proofs, tons of documents, just to show that their business is real, that they are doing something to help people, they are doing something to make the social impact or to make the impact for the society, and that's also creating bad feelings, and at the same time they start mistrusting the investors who are misleading them sometimes. And because of this mistrust, we have to actually lose lots of resources to conduct due diligence, to conduct all the checkings, to check all the details about the startup, which is called actually. Maybe some of you have heard about the book of Speed of Trust, which is actually bringing the dividends that the taxes that we have to pay because of the mistrust. Because we have to find the resources to do due diligence, we have to find the time, we have to spend the time, and as you know, for the startup to fundraise, it takes at least 3-4 weeks. At least it is in the best case scenario. Sometimes it can take many months for the investor to make sure that the startup is really building, the startup is really doing what they have promised. But actually, this can be changed. The trust can be created. It can be created by adding several factors into the system. First of all, there should be transparency. So there should be full transparency concerning the factors assessed of the startup. There should be full transparency of how the evaluation is conducted. There should be unification. So what I mean by this, now we have lots of investors, lots of different funds, lots of investment analysts. They have different systems, of course, to evaluate the projects, and they are not aligned. But it is possible to align them, to make them in a similar format, so to let those systems exchange and communicate with each other. And of course, the third point is responsibility. Because once we have all the parties participating in this process of evaluation, of startup analysis, once they have feeling of responsibility, once not only the feeling but also this responsibility, their assessment actually influences their future reputation, their future activities, then of course they will act differently. And as in any situation, in order to develop this ecosystem, of course we need to have the contribution of many different players. We need to have a contribution of the whole community to create this transparent, trustworthy system. What is the role of InnMind here? Just a few words for those who have not known much about us. We have been developing the platform InnMind.com for more than 3 years now. We have now more than 10,000 users all around the world. Actually, this map, I would say, it should be updated because we have now more than 75 countries already. startups, investors, service providers from all around the world are registering on the platform in order to communicate, to create partnerships, to collaborate, and to create innovation. So this is just some numbers, which people and why they're coming to us, why they're coming to InnMind. Experts, they are coming to because they want to share. Potentially, they want to give the knowledge as mentors, or to provide the services that they're competent in. Startups, of course, they're looking for knowledge, but they also are searching for communities. They're searching for communities who might either become the client or help them to test the product. Investors, of course, they're searching for good projects to invest into, but they are also looking for expertise, for analysis, and for trustworthy system. What is InnMind rating system? So, based on our knowledge in the field of startups, based on our communication for several years already with all these participants of the ecosystem, we understood that we need to do something with it. We have the knowledge, we understand the problem, and there are tools to face the issues in this field. So the main principle that should lay behind any assessment or any reputation is transparency. This, as I mentioned previously, this will help to fight with mistrust. This will help to create good and trustworthy and productive communication between the parties. And that's why we decided to address blockchain technology, because it can give us this option. It can help us to create trustworthy communication between the parties. Our rating system includes two main things. It includes startup assessment, which is assessment according to unified criteria created by the community, and it is the rating of agents, of experts or investors who are actually giving the assessment to the startups. Because, as I mentioned, it is very important not just to give the assessment, not just to evaluate the project, but also what is the impact on the reputation of the person who is doing this. Just to finalize my contribution, my part here, users' reputation is very important because it can help to build this trustworthy and objective ecosystem. This is my colleague. I guess you already know Nelly Arlova and myself. If you have any questions, you can ask either in the end of today's presentation, or you can come to us, you can send us messages. We're very open-minded to new collaborations, to discussions. Thank you.
So, good morning everybody. I'm Davide Calvaresi, and I'm a postdoc researcher at the University of Applied Science that is located in Valais, in Sierra. And I'm going to present our collaboration with InnMind, with the startup InnMind. And it's about pushing the knowledge, the current knowledge, by mixing the current state-of-the-art, current technologies with AI-based techniques. Okay? I had a funny picture of this. Yeah, that's it. So, thank you. So basically, it's not creating an immediate reward, but it's like creating the knowledge to then later on create rewards. And what is this talk about? We are merging the AI technologies that we can identify easily today by calling them intelligent and autonomous entities, empowering them with the blockchain technologies. What do you mean by intelligent and autonomous entities? They are virtual and cyber-physical systems that are able to perform autonomous and social behaviors based on the evolving artificial knowledge. So let's say that we have a binding between the real world and the virtual world. As Ekaterina introduced, in the real world, we have startups, investors, and experts in the area that evaluates the dynamic that she previously discussed. So we wanted to map them in the virtual world to foster the dynamics and their collaboration, and also to study which are the horizontal possible dynamics that may be not visible in the real world. Of course, the human nature of the human being is like selfish, it is egoistic. And I heard many times the question, can be AI bad? But of course, artificial intelligence is built on the human model, so it will end up badly. There's no way it will not. So we also need to map and to investigate the interactions. So we developed two possibilities, one that is free and one that is driven throughout blockchain technologies. So trustworthy, transparent, reliable, and so on. So we explored two main scenarios. One where peers like the blockchain is a middle between startups and the experts, and one where the partners, the players, are actually part of the chain. We, in our first early study, we investigated the first scenarios, and as you can identify here, we have startups and experts, and everybody has a proper brain, so an artificial brain, let's say, and a part of a blockchain, a capability to interact with a blockchain. In our case, we choose a private blockchain. So let's say the dynamic that Katerina before mentioned about evaluating and exchanging knowledge. We have a startup who records on the portal and self-evaluate and classify the strike itself. After that, everything is recorded on the blockchain, or a part of it. This is, of course, arguable. An expert can offer his services declaring which area of expertise he has. So according to that, it will happen a match. And the startup can require, hey, can you evaluate me? If one, it's one-to-one matching. If more than one, it can be discriminated according to several criteria: cost, time, reputation, and so on. So let's assume that now the startup asks the evaluation to this expert, and he will accept. So on the blockchain will be saved the evaluation, the mark that the expert gives. So tamper-proof and so on. And of course, the startup cannot bother if a registered expert is not available for a registration. As well, a startup that didn't evaluate itself, didn't fill its profile correctly, will be hampered to interact with the network. Now let's assume every startup has several features, and of course not all the experts will be able to evaluate all of them, because of course they work in several environments, in several domains. So we can offer the possibility of evaluating single aspects, single features, or packages, and of course offering deals out of it, because expert needs to gain something. So let's assume we have a second expert who checks the blockchain, and they say, okay, there is a startup that needs to be evaluated. I'm going to offer my services. Let's assume the startups accept it, and the blockchain records the evaluation. Now, after these 2 points, singularly, there is the key point of our study. The startup will evaluate the evaluation. What I mean? I mean that when you are rated, it's not one-to-one mapping that everything is going right, that you are an expert that maybe doesn't have any side interest, or maybe you're investing on a startup that is hampering the evolution of another competitor. So you may have some egoistic behavior, intended or unintended. So if the startup feels like, okay, I will receive a good mark rather than I don't see it clear, it will be recorded on the blockchain. And all of this will be kept track, of course, and will create the profile, the reputation profile of the experts. And of course, further algorithms to check on the behavior of both startups and experts can be run on the network from the intelligent system point of view, because this is dynamic. And you can spot and analyze the ecosystem behavior. So we identified several functionalities that has been already introduced by Katerina, where we have interaction with expert, investor, possibility of evaluating both of them, and automated cost-based or time-based dynamics. And of course, every functionality running both on AI system and blockchain system carries their advantages. So we have easy bidirectional integrations, negotiations, we have transparent and traceable interactions, and of course we can foster trust and behavior tracking. Okay? Of course, this is only one side of the medal, because still is a big open page of research. And we have open challenges. Let's say open challenges that regards both intelligent systems and the blockchain system is technology-wise. We have scalabilities, maintainabilities, and all that regards these two type of systems. And if we concerns, like we focus on the blockchain side, we have we find the classic questions like where to execute the peers, who will maintain the peers, and how many peers do we need to be consistent, reliable, and so on, and how to ensure the data consistency of what is stored on the blockchain, and how we discriminate what we really need to put in the blockchain that should not be mistaken as a DB. And on the other hand, the intelligent system should be like, okay, we can have some disagreement policy resolution that can pass through the blockchain and something that doesn't need to pass there. So how do we deal with the threshold between a delegation and autonomy from the user perspective and the intelligent brain perspective that can operate on behalf of the user? Because of course there are many dynamics we can introduce. And of course, which type of human-machine interface we may develop for the different case study. So I'm gonna show you this is a very basic interface that we developed with a student of us that is sitting from between us. And this is a Hyperledger private blockchain that is running what I just previously discussed. In this example, the startup is choosing an expert service and is going to ask to demand for his evaluation. We simulated here, as you can see, that the expert is giving a rating to the startup and that the blockchain is recording behind every activity that is going on. And after being rated, there is on the other side the startup that reads, let's say, the distinct that the expert gave, and then it rates back the expert. This is a very simplified, because of course we don't want to enter too much in detail on all the feature that needs to be addressed. But as you can see, and we can actually also prove it because we have a demo and a couple of papers already out for the public, that the blockchain is recording and is behaving as a backup for every kind of interaction. So that's actually working. And as you can see, what a reputational expert that was, for example, 6 before, after the interaction that we have simulated, will be updated on the ledger and on all the peers. So it will be a consistent data. And this is the current state. Of course, we are keep working and keep investigating further and open challenges. And if you have any questions, please drop them to me or to the developer if they are too technical. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be, Alex, we'll have time for questions, right?
Yeah, if we have a question, yeah, we can figure out with 2 questions.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. My name is Basel. I have 2 questions. Why you need blockchain for this assessment? And what kind of methodology do you have for assessment? I mean, for expert assessment. Thank you.
So, yeah, the first is a quite tough question. Like,
Yeah, it's tough, but
I mean, it's tough, and the answers relies on the domain, of course. Like, do we need blockchains? And the thing is that it's very domain-oriented. In our case, I think yes, definitely, because as I said before, we have egoistic nature and egoistic behavior. That when you have an interest, let's assume you are an expert, okay? Nobody says that you cannot be also an investor. You see something good in one startup, okay? You invest in it. But then tomorrow you see another startup, which is really promising, maybe even more than the one you invested on. And maybe if the startup gets to rise, you will lose your money. You have a conflict of interest. So your interest will become, okay, to push it down to give a favor of what you invested in. Okay, so these behaviors cannot be spot automatically, cannot be proven on a normal daily basis. That is like, for example, the normal feedback that you have on Booking, TripAdvisor, or wherever. So
Yeah, I see, but maybe you give the answer from the other side. What kind of function you give for that system if you use a blockchain? What kind of function you?
So, depending, of course, on the specific cases.
Yes, your
The
case.
feature, yeah, in my case, that's in our case. Let's say there are several features that can be validated, okay? And if, let's say, we have some of them on the chain, and you register which evaluation has been given to them by
Okay.
one or more
Okay.
expert.
Thank you. And second question?
Okay, you didn't like the answer, but we can further discuss.
No, I see that it's not a clear answer, but what kind of methodology for expert assessment you have? Because you mentioned.
It depends by the feature. I have been like on purpose a bit vague, because if it's evaluate my team, evaluate
Okay,
my
thank you.
asset, that's
Thank
very
you.
depends.
And another one question.
I will just maybe try to answer the second question if I understood correctly. You mean methodology, which criteria we are using to assess? Was it still a question?
Methodology.
Okay, so for the methodology, we are working with currently with a group of experts, of analysts, of investment analysts, who are actually developing the criteria of the assessment, who are developing how it will work, how the scoring system, etc. So this is currently under development. That's why we mentioned that we are showing now the demo version, and this is still in the process of construction. Let's say. Yes, please.
Yes, thank you. Just one quick comment to the first question there. It's a simple answer, one word, trust. Why to use blockchain? Trust.
Well,
It's a system of trust building between experts, investors and startup, and that's the reason why blockchain, for my feeling. My question is, do I understand correct that this system you are doing, this trust blockchain system, is part of your InnMind conferences and the whole structure you are doing? Because if that is so, then do I understand correct, InnMind is your basis to bring startups and investors together, and what you told us is the tool.
Currently, InnMind is not on the blockchain. So InnMind.com platform, it exists, and it is not connected with blockchain. So this, what we are developing now, it's additional tool which will help to build more productive interaction between the users, between participants of InnMind ecosystem. So it will be built into InnMind platform.
But I mean, InnMind platform will be your marketing place, because the tool is one thing, which is nice, I find. But is it correct that it is your tool in your InnMind, not blockchain community, which is what we see here in the 2 days? Conferences, bringing people together.
So, if I understood your question correctly, yes, this is the tool that InnMind will use on the platform.
And when will this be ready?
This is a good question, and I cannot answer this alone without without the technical team. But it should be in the beginning of the next year, the public demo version already. Yeah. They're working quite fast.
Yeah, we're working quite fast, and even faster than actually the documentation that is released sometimes, and you just developing quite blindly, like, okay, let's see what happens if I do this. Because of course, we started developing this like 5-6 months ago, even, as I said before, the documentation was ready. And also the release of the, for example, we are working on Hyperledger, they change time by time continuously and updating. So this is really technological oriented, but their business model, their dynamics are quite clear and quite like steady. And now we just need to say, as I said, the open challenge in blockchain-wise, like, okay, where to run the peers, what we put on the peer, how to split the knowledge, the data on and off. This is very like, changes dramatically the technological implementation. And we gave a proof of concept, of course, but there is still much more to be done. Like, okay, is Hyperledger the real answer to the blockchain need, to the trust need? So it very depends, but we are working hard on it. So that's up to give you something to.
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you. We are going to have a break for the coffee. Thank you. In 20 or 25 minutes, we will start another presentation from Blumio Hashgraph. The moderator will be Artem Tolkachev from Deloitte.